Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Stripology podcast. I'm Wendy, and today I am jumping on with a topic that literally wants to just come through me right now. I was going to talk about something else, but then I just got this overwhelming urge to talk about what's really current for me at the moment. So last week, I recorded a podcast on the topic of motivation, something that I love, something that, really inspires me, as you could probably tell if you listen to it. And it helps me to feel really motivated, just the topic alone. So what happens is something that I found in, this whole journey of creating content and doing my coaching with people, sharing the things I've experienced and all of the things, is that when I put together different topics, I really experience them like it's real life, genuine, experienced topics that I've refined and that I've really delved into deep rabbit holes about. And so when I put together the Industry Academy, that took around 5 years because every single topic in there was explored and experienced. And basically what I find happens is when I'm really currently getting involved in a topic, it's like the rug gets pulled out from under me. And then it's like I just get dunked headfirst into the toilet. And it's like, you want to get into this topic? Let's fucking do it and see it from all angles. So obviously there's, the light side, I guess, and then the dark side of topics. And so with motivation, there is that risk of burnout, right? And that's something that I talked about last week is like, really finding that balance and striking that balance and the things that we can do to help remain motivated, but also not going too far. And I shared a little bit about, experiences I've had and how I find I need to do really extreme things to balance out the extreme levels of motivation for me. And so over the past week, in my, personal life, I'm undergoing some massive projects, basically, things that are outside of my comfort zone and things that I haven't done before. And they're taking a lot of motivation. So one is a huge renovation at the back. Yes, I've done other sections of this house, renovating them, but the project at the back is pretty big and it's coincided at the exact same time as our tenant moving out and us setting up our Airbnb. So it's all been coming for a few months and it all decided to hit on the same weekend. Now there's a huge amount of work involved and I did a little live on my Instagram about this. And also talking about really going all in on the things because there's a lot of outlay, like financially, into all the projects that are going on at the moment. And so initially it made me feel super motivated. I'm like, yes, like bring it. This is huge. This is so exciting. Been waiting for ages. I can't wait to go all in. And then when we're actually doing the things that we need to do, the motivation started to tip into overwhelm. And so, I've explored this topic many, many times, but sometimes we just reach new layers and there's just things that sometimes we need to relearn over and over, which isn't very fun, but that does tend to happen when we're really exploring a topic and wanting to work it out for ourselves, wanting to find a balance. And also it's fantastic in learning how to get out of the dark side of situations, So yeah, really been experiencing a bit of overwhelm in the last several days. And then just noticing like rest really needs to be prioritized at the moment because I know where this is headed and I've been there before. So I also wanted to bring up when, I share the academy with people, there's a huge amount of content. And right at the beginning of the content, I talk about how when we do go to implement new things that are a bit outside of our comfort zone, things generally get more difficult before they get better. So it's like learning a new skill. it would be very nice if we could just acquire a new skill and it's easy sailing it onwards and upwards from there. But it doesn't usually work out like that. What usually happens is, in order to fully embody a new skill or a new topic or whatever it is, a new experience in life, we need to get the full 360 of the topic. And so oftentimes, you know, we go to implement new skills and realize, oh, wow, this is bringing things up for me, or this is feeling really difficult. And then almost overanalyzing and feeling like I've forgotten how to even do anything. And it's actually a really natural part of the process. So I want to point that out. And this always gets experienced in each round of the academy. But the beauty of it is, when we push through and when we learn the ways to get ourselves out of whatever difficulties come up, that's part of the new skill that we've learned. So it's also this added layer of resilience. And it's a really good sign that we're actually really embodying the things that we're taking on board. We're really, you know, taking note of it, and we're really acquiring new skills. So yeah, I just really wanted to point that out. And an example that I give in the academy is, you know, when I was growing up, I did gymnastics. And so, you know, a clear example of this is, you want to upskill, you want to acquire a new, you know, trick or whatever it is, say going from cartwheels to backflips. Well, there's going to be a whole period there where you're going to land on your head, where you're probably going to fuck it up. But with enough grit and resilience and motivation, you're going to need to push through that difficult part where you're probably going to feel like, I really suck at this. Maybe I should just give up. And that's the time where it's really important to knuckle down. So this is like an added layer that I really wanted to bring up today. Even despite the fact I had a different topic I wanted to talk about, just because I feel like it's so necessary with this whole theme of motivation at the moment. It's coming up in my sphere a lot. And so, yeah, it's just something that I want to put out there in case you're feeling difficulties in trying new things, or, you know, experiencing whatever the dark side of different things that can come up, and just a little reminder out there that, like, that is part of the process and it is okay, because it's not permanent, and it's actually a good sign that things are going to open up afterwards. You know, there's usually that contraction before an expansion. And that's why it's difficult to create change. You know, sometimes we want to create change. We want things to be different, but we're not willing to go through the difficult period in order to make it out to the other side. So if you're experiencing that, keep going, prioritize rest, and really just know that you're doing a good thing. It is a good sign. We sometimes think we're going 2 steps backwards when we're actually, in fact, still moving forwards. So really wanted to bring that topic up. And I also want to mention that I have the online workshop coming up next week. So it's on the 4th of April. And this topic kind of is very relevant for this workshop, because we're going to be going through the sales process in a way that is refining it to bring speed to the sales process. It's bringing, you know, staying on track and getting through those difficult objections and hurdles that come up. But it's all a part of it. So there's been a number of people sign up. So thank you very much. I'm really excited for this workshop, because it's going to be held in a way that is interactive. And so this is one of my favorite forms of, you know, teaching and sharing different pieces of information, because it's not just me saying things. We really get a chance to back and forward and ask those questions that, you know, you've been wondering, and really explore into certain things that trip you up in the club, or you're not quite sure what a good way to handle it is. And so I know that when we go through this process, you know, when I do my coaching, I often like to give little challenges after, like, implement it. And also with that added warning that, cool, when you do go to implement these things, it might feel a bit clunky at first, but that's a good sign, and just keep going because you're going to be acquiring new skills. We want to get our hustle as seamless and fast as possible. And in this workshop, we're going to be going through real life examples. So a lot of people ask me all the time, you know, what are some good lines, you know, and good lines are great, but they need to be in context. So this is a chance to really troubleshoot and go through really creative ways to close with demonstrations. So we're going to be doing some role plays and really nutting it out. Different things that are really helpful to say in different scenarios, but it's going to be in context. So it's going to be more meaningful and more easy to implement as well. So because conversations can actually go infinite ways, we don't know what's going to come up. We're an individual, the customer's an individual. We don't really know the direction. So there are no clear-cut lines, but there are definitely lines that are fun and helpful and work. And so we're going to go through them and when is a good time to bring them up and use them. Because I don't want to be sharing information that's not in context, that isn't as helpful as it could be if it really got explored, because that's where the most support is. So I'm really excited to share this workshop. I'm going to pop a link in the notes on this episode. So if you want to join, it's on April the 4th, interactive online workshop. So it's going to be hosted via Zoom. Also, I haven't announced yet, but I'm going to right now. There's going to be a private Facebook group for the lead up to this workshop. So we can get in there and really discuss the different things that we want to knuckle out, like, you know, common objections, different ways to handle difficult things that come up when in our conversations. Ways that we can stay on track and get around conversations that divert and how to bring them back. And we want to keep the momentum towards closing the sale. So we really want to stay on top of that. We want to stay in control of our conversations. We want to be able to identify when the conversation isn't going towards a lap dance, or perhaps the customer is trying to, you know, twist it in a different direction. We want to be able to stay in control and get it straight back on track and selling with more speed and precision and selling those dances. So there's so many amazing tips that I can't wait to share in this workshop. And I can't wait to meet you all, for everyone that's signed up already. So there's also going to be a recording if it is out of your time zone. And that's why it's going to be important to have this Facebook group. So we can really, you know, nut out what we want brought up in the workshop. And so regardless of whether or not you're there, I can take note and make sure to bring up so we can troubleshoot certain situations that people are wondering. So it's going to be really fun and I can't wait. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you have any questions about the workshop, please feel free to reach out to me via DM on Instagram. And I look forward to seeing you there. So have a beautiful week and I'll see you next week.